Hello and welcome to the Real Talk podcast with Kelly and Avery. We're your hosts, Kelly Berger and Avery Roberts. We are two rare ladies living with congenital muscular dystrophy, CMD.
The show where we amplify voices, break down barriers, and celebrate the power of disability identity. Whether you're living with a disability, supporting someone who is, or just here to learn, you're in the right place.
Where wit, wisdom, and reels are all part of the party. So sit down with us. We're tearing down stereotypes, one reel at a time.
It's a front row seat to bold conversations and the thriving disabled lifestyle, and we're ready to get gloriously uncomfortable.
Let's get loud, proud, and empowered. Real power, real stories. Picture this moment on stage. Lights, crown, wheels, and purpose. This is the dual identity of a pageant queen and a caregiving advocate. What happens when visibility meets responsibility? Joining us on the show today is a wearer of many hats, but today we're going to call them crowns. Pageantry and her caregiving platform are the focus of this conversation. Annie Heathcote is a disability advocate and 2023 Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin. Welcome to Real Talk, Annie.
Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today and talk with you all.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you, Annie, and to dive into your journey. Let's start at the beginning of your journey to the crown. What was your first exposure to wheelchair pageantry? Because I think a lot of people don't realize that this is even, a world that exists. They've never heard of wheelchair pageantry.
Yeah, so I actually had a friend reach out to me a few years back, and at the time, I wasn't 21 yet, and you have to be 21 to do Miss Wheelchair, like America, USA, like that whole thing. And she's like, I think you should try out for Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin. And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool, but I don't know if it's the right timing. I was old enough at the time, and it was kind of like a program that was rebuilding itself too, with after the devastating loss of COVID and what it did to so many organizations. Yeah, I just waited a few years and eventually graduated college. And about a year into my graphic design career, which I own my own business doing that, I had a different state coordinator reach out to me and she said, hey, we would really like you to compete. We think you'd be perfect for it. And I honestly said no the first time. I said no again. And it was because I was in like the height of my career. I had so many clients. I was super busy. It was like summer and I'd love to be outside and relax during that time too. And she just like really stayed on me. She just wouldn't let me say no. And I'm so thankful that she saw what I did and she really believed in me. And I prayed about it too. And I was like, God, like, do you want me to do this or not? And it felt like it was a yes and just like kind of blind faith or faith in action, I'd say. And I took the jump and put in the work for it. And what I had to do was for competition day, I had to write and memorize a 2-minute speech on my platform, which is Caring is Caregiving. And then I also just thought about my disability experience because I didn't know what questions I was going to be asked, but they asked me like judging questions, like in person, judging like privately, and then in front of the audience too. It was kind of a toss up. And then there's different like workshop activities. I had wore a fancy dress and it was like this really intense day. And we got our hair and makeup done. It was really fun too, and to meet so many other incredible women and the people a part of the organization. And it's less about beauty, more about communication skills, presentation, advocacy, knowledge, things like that, that really make a difference in the world of how can you use your skills and your life experience to lift up others' voices that may not get heard or be an advocate for them in the disability space. And I really felt called to talk about caregiving. And I had many topics I could talk about because I'm also an athlete. And I used to do power soccer for 17 years and played competitively. I'm an artist. I love to travel. I'm passionate about a lot of different topics, but I felt like caregiving, even though it's kind of a maybe uncomfortable or taboo topic, like there's a worldwide crisis going on right now. And it's so vital that we bring that to light when it gets kind of pushed down based on all of the other world's issues right now. And it's just as important and so needed, but like so unseen. And I wanted to really use my voice and my platform to highlight that.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into your platform and caring is caregiving a little bit later in the episode. But I love what you said about how, you needed that person to really push you and didn't let you say no. Sometimes you need those people in your life. What did the crown represent to you beyond the stage? Like, did you ever feel pressure to represent more than just yourself?
I mean, I knew like the weight of the crown, not only how it felt on my head when I was awarded the title Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin at the end of that competition day, but also just being like, I just wanted to help people. That was my heart, that was my passion. And wherever God had me, whatever opportunity He brought my way, I was going to do that. And it really snowballed, like the effect of it. Like it started out slow, the event, and I wasn't sure how many I'd be able to do, but by the end of my reign year, I ended up doing 52 events, traveling across the state, doing interviews and like his organizations and really just spreading not only my platform topic of caring is caregiving, but any topic of disability, because as we all know, disability involves every aspect of life. So really you can talk about anything. And I just loved that freedom to use my voice in such a positive way to help others feel seen and heard for the things that maybe they don't have the platform to talk about or they don't feel they can yet, even though we all have a voice to share, right? But yeah, I just really loved the opportunity. I was so thankful and honored to wear that crown. It takes, good character and integrity to be honored with that also. And I didn't take that lightly. I made sure to give it my all, and I was one of the best Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin competitors they've had, and with the number of events and over 100,000 people reached in a year through online and in-person events. I mean, it was an unbelievable miracle of a year. So I'm so thankful for the opportunity.
That's so powerful, and what a powerhouse you are. Goodness, I'm sure you set many records over there with that. You mentioned obviously the wheelchair pageantry as advocacy. Can you explain a little bit about how pageants are creating visibility? I think most people would think that historically, pageants have been exclusionary of disabled people. And can you explain how this is different, how you can be included in the pageantry world?
Yeah, I think this is different because it's not about looks or ability, which the other one is so focused on and it's so like visual. This one's, like I said, about advocacy, presentation, your character, who you are, what you're passionate about. It's about like who you are as a person and what you're willing to give more than what you're willing to get. Like, for example, too, like this is a volunteer opportunity. I didn't get paid to do this, and most in like the able-bodied version, you would get like a car and a crown and scholarship money and all this stuff. And granted, I hope we get there someday because I think title holders need and should deserve to have that, but we're just not there. So I think that just shows how much heart and passion we have behind what we do. So that's a huge difference. Yeah, I just say that it's good to have that representation because once you wear the crown and the sash, like news media outlets reach out to you and other articles and social media. Like I had my own Facebook page and that really put an outreach. Like I had my whole community backing me and cheering me on. And that meant so much to me to have so much support, but it also like had them like involved in my journey. I would post about my events and what I was doing and people were cheering me on, supporting me, and basically the message I was spreading too. So they would share the posts and they would talk about what I was doing and advocating for. And that helped my voice spread even farther, which was so crucial in what I was advocating for. So I think it's so important to not only see someone disabled in that role so that little girls at home can look at me on TV or whoever's wearing that crown and be like, wow, I want to be that someday. I want to have a voice like hers, but have it be my own. And I want to impact and help others too.
So it sounds like you were really making an impact, not only on the stage, beyond the stage within your community. Can you explain a little bit deeper about some of those, or is there a standout moment that you felt you really changed someone's eyes with their reaction?
Wait, do you mean like in my advocacy or like?
Yeah, just in your reign, in your work out in the community, was there a moment that stood out to you that was really impactful?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, there was a local coffee shop that opened up in my hometown. And I was super excited because it had this like cement ramp in the back. Well, I went there with a friend and I realized there was actually a 3-inch lip up to the ramp. So they were thinking it was accessible. And it was a brand new business. And I go inside, like I kind of just had to jump it like a curve, just like a little speed bump.
Yep.
It was not worth it. I was like, I don't think I can come here alone, or I have to like bring my own little ramp, which I'm not, which I'm used to. I carry ramps with me. That's just kind of a disabled life. And I went inside and I was having a good time, like drinking my hot chocolate because I don't like coffee, ironically. And like, and I was like, oh, can I say something? Like that voice came like, oh, don't bother. They're a new business. They don't have all their money. But I was like, no, like 20 seconds of courage. And I talked to the coffee shop owner, and I just said, hey, I would love to come here independently. There's a bump. Do you mind putting like a little ramp over it? And she had no idea that that was a problem. And she was like, of course, I would love to help. And I've talked to businesses before, but not everyone follows through. No joke. A few days later, she sent me a picture and messaged me on Facebook and said, we took your advice and here's how we helped. And I was like, wow, that's so incredible. That meant so much to me. And then after that, I just decided to do a shout out on my local community's Facebook page, and it got over 400 likes. And little did I know that one of those likes was actually the 27 news channel, and they came out and did a story on that whole thing. So not only did that one act of kindness help so many people, whether they were elderly and using a scooter or in a wheelchair, or just needed to like watch where their feet were going so they didn't trip, helped spread that message and like that act of kindness, and it encouraged other business owners in the community to put their own ramps in and also spread that news story even farther. So that's just one example of something that was done during the crying. So, yeah, pretty incredible.
Wow. No, that's amazing. We would love to see and hope that more things trickle down to always have that effect. That's great.
Yeah. I want to shift into something that's such a core part of your platform, caregiving. When we say caregiving, what does that actually mean to you?
I think for me, say it means that someone's willing to sacrifice and step out of their own life in order to help someone else. And it works both ways. I say my caregivers care for me physically, but I care for them mentally. And when they come to work, they just love coming to work. They love this environment, love being around me, and I love being around them too, and we become close friends. We're working so closely together, and we're involved in each other's lives, and it's not just a job, it's an opportunity to make a difference in someone's lives. And it has such a like important impact, not only on this earth, but like for a kingdom impact too, just to help someone that can give you nothing back. It really makes a difference and encourages others to give back in those ways too, because giving shouldn't be like always reciprocated in the way of like, okay, if I give, you have to give me something back. It's about just giving and expecting nothing in return, but you get so much more back by doing that. Not only the feeling of that great feeling of helping someone, but just what like my caregivers get to share in the things that I do, because them getting me up in the morning allows me the independent life to advocate in the ways I do. And they know that their small like coin in the cup kind of thing like is an impact for thousands of people because they're helping this one person.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about caring is caregiving. What gap did you see that others weren't addressing? Like what were your goals when you started? Was it awareness, resources, community, all of it? How did your pageant platform amplify that mission?
Yeah, so there's two components. One was advocating about the caregiver crisis and the need for caregivers so that people like us could live independent and full lives. We just need a little more extra help to do that. And then the other aspect of it was helping disabled people know how to like hire, train, and manage their caregivers, so that once they found them, they're able to have a healthy environment and keep those caregivers for a long time.
Yeah. Wow. What were some of the biggest challenges that you came across? Like whether that was accessibility and funding or even just being taken seriously?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of that because like I said, we weren't as caught up as the able-bodied version of like Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin. And so as much as I really had a platform and people seemed to listen, it always felt like a little bit like less than the able-bodied version as people didn't, we aren't always seen as as just normal, as part of just discrimination and oppression. So I felt a little bit of that, which was disappointing. It's like, why can't this be at the same level? Like we're doing things that are incredible, that are helping people, but yet there's not the same support or recognition. And granted, I'm not dissing the support I got, but it's just a little bit different in that way. So I'd say that was challenging. And then also just trying to help people understand the importance of caregiving and what it was to be a caregiver. And so many people just get up out of bed every day, get themselves ready, start their day, and they don't have to think about that someone has to like coordinate, hire, and manage someone to get them out of bed. And it takes twice as long to do their normal routine. And like, for example, I have 4 shifts a day. That's 28 shifts a week that I have to fill, and I manage a team of almost 20 women just to fill that. And that's my full-time job and a half. And I work on top of that for money to like actually make money, like for my graphic design career. And then I volunteer and give back and hang out with friends and do sports and travel. Like I live a very full and busy life. And I think sometimes people get so caught up in their own life and what they're doing that they forget to think about others, or that others can't do the things that they can. And so helping them realize that moment in the morning that they do their morning tasks so quick and go about their day, like asking them to step outside themselves and give that care to someone else. Because if you can care for yourself, you can care for someone else. And it was hard for people to like understand that or even just take the action. They were like, yeah, that's great. That's a good idea. But it was hard to actually like have them become a caregiver. It was fewer than I would have hoped that actually became a caregiver or considered it, because I don't know, it was just a kind of a disconnect that people still wanted to like just live comfortably in their own lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's tough to really enact that actual action. I definitely agree there. We mentioned a little bit about earlier about community, and obviously within the pageantry world that you kind of create this family, right? When after the crown, there's a
Mhm.
camaraderie and still a sisterhood, I would call it. How are you continuing to build that and staying involved with the
Yeah.
pageantry world?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually have a Facebook group chat. So after competing, we all like were in this chat, and we're called like the Wheel Sisters.
Oh,
And yeah,
I
love.
love it.
we'll like message each other once in a while, like the group, like what we're up to. And like, we've seen people move or get engaged, or like these fun, like milestone moments we're able to still share in that. And I'd say, um, especially when I competed at Miss Wheelchair America later that year in August of 23 for the 24 title in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I just met so many fabulous and great disability advocates, and just so many strong women that cared so passionately about the disability community and their unique platform causes, that we just all united over the fact of this genuine shared human experience of having a disability and what that was like. And we just kind of get it. You just like talk to someone with a disability, I'm sure you've experienced it too, where you're like, wow, you get it. And we can start at like a little more of a basic or higher level because we have this shared human experience. And that was nice to have with so many different Wheel Sisters.
And how do you think that that's also helped you with the community, and then with also learning from your fellow sisters, like develop those leadership skills that you've been later able to later apply to your life?
Yeah, I'd say asking advice or talking to them about personal or challenging issues has been nice. And it was interesting too, because I actually saw a few of them at different events or things we happened to be at together. Because well, during Miss Wheelchair America, I ended up, it was like a week-long competition. It was super intense. There was a speech night and a bunch of workshops, and they had these like fancy dinners, and we like all hang out after too, and like go dancing, all this stuff. It was just like this week from heaven, really. It was just incredible. And later that week, I ended up being third in the nation, so second runner up, and then winning best speech. So once I won best speech, it kind of propelled my speaking career. So I would travel across America now instead of just the state of Wisconsin. And I would, I spoke at the Christopher Reeve Summit in Washington, D.C. I spoke at Disneyland in Anaheim, California, and in Austin, Texas at disability conferences. And that's where I saw some of the same people. It was neat to like reconnect with them and hang out. And like, it's just like a sisterhood that you just never forget. And you are always connected because you have that, even though it was 1 week, it was like that shared deep experience that you'll remember for a lifetime. So I really encourage anyone considering to compete for the Miss Wheelchair America.
And what do you say to, I know public speaking can be a scary thing. Do you have
Yeah.
any tips for those? Obviously, that is a qualification for, competing, being able to have a speech. Do you have any tips that maybe our female listeners out there would want to, hone in on since you're a pro at it?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even still like I still get nervous. I think
You still
that's
freak out, yeah.
a little that's normal. Like
Right?
I think if you weren't nervous, I'd be concerned because that means you didn't like care enough. Like I'm nervous because I care. I want to do well. I want to help people and impact them, and I give my very best. So I think it just starts from a place of what are your true intentions? What are your why? What's your why? Like I want to help people and impact them for the better. And then it starts with, okay, now you have your why. What are you passionate about? What do you want to talk about? And start those conversations like one-on-one with people, or maybe a stranger that becomes a friend. Like start at that basic level, and then opportunities will rise. Like maybe you speak at your college, or you read books to your local elementary school. Start those little opportunities of just like giving and giving, and eventually the more paid ones will come your way. And like be ready to negotiate, and also like bring a killer speech so that they keep asking you to come back, or more opportunities open up. And that's kind of how I got my start too, because when I was a kid, I actually was involved with the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and I was their Goodwill and State Ambassador. So that gave me a lot of exposure. It was basically like the kid version of Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin, and it gave me so much experience. So the advice I would give to people is just have your why, start small, always be willing to give more, and just see what happens and what comes your way.
Just go
I
for
love
it, yeah.
that. Yeah. I love that. Annie, looking ahead, what's next for your platform?
That is a great question. Well, yeah, it's like one thing always just led into another. So after doing the competition and this public speaking and having my own business doing that, I got the opportunity literally exactly a year ago to become a published author, where I wrote a chapter in a collaboration book with 9 other people with disabilities. And the book is called Still We Rise, Stories of Triumph Over Disabilities and the Strength of Empowerment. And in this powerful book, we talk about the ups and downs of our life stories and help people gain a better life perspective and understand disability in a deeper way. The bios are in the back of the book, and we even have like a resource list too if people want to get connected to the resources that will help people in the disabled community. And it's really been a cool opportunity to not only speak, but then sell that book, go to different events, sell it at booths or at local businesses, and really connect with people. Where I have not only can I like be in their presence and impact them, but then give them something of value that they can read and be motivated by at any time, reading all our different stories. Like it's hard to sum up my life story in like 14 pages, but I did it. And I'm so glad I did. And it's something that's like tangible and permanent that I can help others with in a deeper way. So I didn't know that I'd become a published author this fast. Like I always dreamed of writing my book, and I hope to publish an autobiography someday. But this is like a good start where the project manager reached out to me and they're like, do you want to be a part of this project? And I had to like make sure it was legit, of course. And then once I was like, okay, it. There's a lot of top-notch people in this book. I'm super honored to be involved. And then they just kind of took the reins, and there was an editor and a project manager, and I just had to like write the chapter and submit it and publish it through Amazon. And then I also have my own website where people can purchase a signed copy at annie-speaks.com. So yeah, that's where it is right now, just kind of promoting that book and doing more speaking events, and then we'll just see what else God has for me.
Yeah. Do you see this work expanding beyond, books and speaking and beyond pageantry? Do you have any hopes and dreams in that realm?
I think becoming more of an influencer and probably investing more into my social media eventually. Right now, honestly, I've been on a season of kind of like I went through major burnout through all that. Of course, 'cause there's like so much, right? I'm just been on a healing journey for a while now. I'm kind of recovering from that and just finding more about who Christ wants me to be and becoming that person and healing past wounds. I encourage mental health too and taking time for that because I was always so much of like a workaholic that I was like, my achievements and all these things, and if I don't do amazing things, like what am I? But really, like God is enough, and He's who my identity is in. So like I know that wherever He has me, even if it's in this season right now, which is more of a quiet healing season, He's preparing me for something incredible, more than I could ask or imagine. And although it's hard at times, it's just so important and necessary, and it's still just as much as anything else as I would do. But yeah, I guess that's kind of just honestly where I'm at right now, and I'm excited to see what my future has.
Yeah, that's awesome. We can't wait to see
Thank
all that you do.
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah.
Is so great too. I love to hear on your podcast and like what you do and how you use your voices to advocate and make a difference for others. So thank you for uplifting my voice through this podcast. It's really incredible.
Thank you. We're excited to be able to uplift each other. Yep. That's
Yeah.
what it's about. So perfect. Well, speaking of big things and moments, we want to wrap up here with our question we always ask our guests. So Annie, what has been your real power moment?
I feel like I've had a few, but if I had to narrow it down, it'd be going to the QSMA conferences every year. I have a disorder called spinal muscular atrophy, and it makes my muscles really weak and tighten up over time. And it's genetic, so I've had it since birth, and I've been in a power wheelchair ever since I was 2 years old. And that conference has not only helped my family see like what is my potential with seeing like other grown-up adults like going to college and getting married and having families and something like I hope to have someday too. But yeah, it's just like the hope and the inspiration and motivation of like how much like the disabled community is just like killing it in life. Like we're doing so much and so well. And I just love the resilience and the tenacity that we all have and how much we can just love and help one another because we understand the oppression side of it too. And I think our disabilities to allow us like unique and different opportunities too, like the Miss Wheelchair stuff that I did. And yeah, I just love talking to others at the conference and seeing how they live life and their life hacks and how they navigate different challenges. And it really inspires me to keep going. Like we're all in this together and we're just living life to the fullest and trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Annie, I think what's so powerful about your story is that you didn't just wear the crown, you used it and you really turned it into a platform for caregiving, for visibility, for community. And for our listeners, if you're listening and you've never thought of or heard about wheelchair pageantry, like, it's a huge community. It's a sisterhood, like Annie said. Kelly's participated in it before, and so it's an incredible world. And so if you're curious, we'll put all the info in the show notes. We'll put the Miss Wheelchair America stuff in the show notes and Annie's info. But yeah, if you're interested in getting involved or participating, support title holders and listen to their platforms, and just recognize that, this work, it happens long after the stage lights go out. And yeah, so Annie, thank you so much for being here. We really loved this conversation.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure being on your podcast and congrats on everything you're all doing too.
Hey. Thank you so much for tuning in to this inclusive space where disability radiates and every listen helps amplify disabled voices that deserve to be heard. We're so grateful you're on this journey with us.
We share real stories, honest conversations, and expert insights that challenge misconceptions. Because disability doesn't define us, It's just a different way of experiencing the world.
Your support keeps this beautifully disabled, slightly chaotic show rolling.
You are truly the real MVPs. We have power, real stories.